My name's Chuck Russell, and I've been in the EV space for consistently about 10 years. I was the chief engineer for the Chevy Volt, chief engineer for the Spark EV, left General Motors, worked on a couple of startups in the EV space, but my background goes all the way back to EV1, which was 30 years ago. It's one of the first developments of an EV vehicle, so I've been in the space for some time. Let's talk about InductEV. InductEV is a new entrant into the charging space. Many of you are familiar with wired chargers. We're completely different, okay? We are a wireless inductive resonant solution set that allows vehicles to run 24/7. InductEV's been off the radar screen. Well, why is that? Well, we're a VC company that just finished its B series round, or we're in the final stages of finishing our B series round, with C series to start later this year. We're pivoting. Historically, the company's been an R&D company, and now we're pivoting to be a scalable company that will deliver manufactured products as well as software as well as services in this space. We're not focused at the present time on light duty. Most of what you're going to see me talk about today is about commercial vehicles and the application and the benefits that we bring to the commercial vehicle space. Okay, so why wireless? Why is wireless better than wired? Well, there's a couple of things that are important. Wireless is extremely good for commercial fleets that have low dwell, repetitive route, high cost assets, okay? So when you think about, and I'll use the example of a bus. Let's take a 60-foot articulating bus. 60-foot articulating bus, $1 million. If that bus has a 450 kilowatt hour battery on board, okay? Again, $1 million. When you have to take that bus out of service and tether it to a cord, you got to replace it. You got to put something else in its place, right? So now you buy another bus with a 450 kilowatt hour battery on board, right? We enable a wireless solution that allows those assets to run 24/7, okay? They never have to stop. They never have to park. Our distributed charging model also allows for a significantly reduced footprint. We'll talk about some of these in a little more detail, but some of these benefits in a little more detail. We extend the life of batteries. Why do we extend the life of batteries? We don't try to take the charge of the battery all the way up to 100%. And we don't allow the battery to deplete all the way down to zero. We don't play in that cycle, which is extremely taxing for those of you who are aware of battery chemistry. We keep the battery between 40 and 80%. So the life of the battery, a 450 kilowatt hour battery, round numbers, probably $80,000. You don't have to replace it as frequently. As we look at wireless charging, let me just help a little bit. Everybody's familiar with these. You probably all have pads that you set your phones on. It's inductive charging. Typically runs about 10 watts. Our system is 7,500 times, it pushes 7,500 times more power, or up to 45,000 times more power than what gets pushed through a typical pad that you have for your phone. It's logical, it makes sense. It's three major hardware components. It's obviously the box that you see on your far left. It's on your far right, the power electronics. Inverters, the usual things you'd expect in an electronic, in a box like that, or a cabinet like that. We have a pad that sits on the ground that generates a resonant magnetic field, which induces a corresponding magnetic field in the pad that's attached to the vehicle, which then generates power which is put into the battery. That's basically how it works. What's interesting is Well, why wireless? What's it do for you? How does it really benefit? What's tangible about it? Well, okay, let's start at the beginning. Let's assume you have a fleet of 14 buses that are diesel. You can replace that fleet with electric buses. You can do it with wired charging, or you can do it with wireless charging. We've done the analysis. Replacing a diesel fleet with wired charging requires you to have about 20 buses to keep the same fleet running. Because remember, if it's wired, you have to take it out of service and charge it for periods during the day. We basically can maintain the same number of buses as what was utilized in the diesel example. When you look at corded chargers, what has to happen to those buses at night? They all have to be parked. They all have to be connected, because the buses need to start their day completely fully charged. You need 20 of them. Wireless charging, you only need 2. Right? You just have to have them pre-positioned in the right places to keep that same fleet running. From an operations standpoint and a maintenance standpoint, it's obvious. You have to have people running around charging and uncharging buses all day long. Okay? On a wireless, there's no people involved. It's totally autonomous. You drive over you basically drive over the pad. The vehicle syncs, communicates and syncs with the pads, and charging immediately starts. With respect to the power grid, when you come in at the end of the day and you have all 14 buses or 20 buses on the wired side, all 20 buses show up within a similar period of time, and they all go to charge at the same time, your peak requirements for power and the associated requirements for infrastructure all go up dramatically. We distribute power usage over the course of the day. There's no need for that same level of infrastructure on the energy side. When you look at the electrical upgrades, obvious, same thing. Significantly less upgrades required when you think about doing this for, let's say, either a bus depot or a product moving company like Amazon, right? And then when you look at total cost, obviously there's not much to say. It's significantly cheaper. Our approach to move is basically we've taken the company and we're focused on moving people and products. Most of our activity to date has been in the people side. We have active taxi fleets in Sweden. We have active transit fleets across the United States and Europe. And we've electrified those utilizing our technology. On the product side, moving products. So I'm talking more about first mile and middle mile. These are when you think about ports, when you think about facilities that basically intermodal facilities where you're basically taking things off of trains and moving them to trucks. This is where our product shines. And when you think about what's occurring right now in this space, the state of California recently enacted a law that said all intermodal facilities, all ports, all airports must be electrified by 2035. We all know what happens with that type of legislation. That's going to move across the United States in pretty rapid order. So on the moving people side, again, you see the buses around the outside. This is one of our areas that we started our journey with. As we get into smaller buses, obviously we'll continue there. The sweet spot for us right now is on the heavy side, but we do have plans to move into middle-sized buses. We do have a taxi fleet that's involved that we're working with Volvo on, and that fleet's very active at the moment. And then on moving goods, we have discussions ongoing with some rather large players, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, a number of companies in the state of California with respect to ports. We have ongoing conversations with Con Global So there's activity in this space, and what you see here are types of vehicles that we don't typically see because they're what's called behind the fence, right? They're in intermodal facilities, and we never see them, right? The only ones we see are down in the bottom corner here, which are the last mile delivery. That are the ones that show up at our homes. Our footprint is expanding. Our current deployments, as I said, are predominantly taxi and bus. We're going to move out of that. I shouldn't say out. We're going to complement that with the product side, as I said earlier. The good news is, if we just were to stick with the existing customer base that we have right now, we have about 100 million total addressable market just with the existing customers we have. And needless to say, as we continue to expand that, it goes up dramatically. Every single one of our customers that's utilized our system is asking for more. There hasn't been anyone that's walked away from us. So we've got a commercialized system that's in place. Not only do we provide hardware, but we obviously provide software to keep our vehicles moving, whether it's diagnostics, telematics, analysis, determining the resiliency, and with a development of partnerships in this space. All of this is coming to bear, okay? In a number of cases, we've got MVPs, but those MVPs will move into more production-ready space here shortly. So the wireless charging evolution is here. It's not going to go away. We've made significant inroads in the space. We talked about the asset utilization improvements. We talked about the real estate footprint improvements, the battery optimization, the lower total cost of ownership, driver productivity and energy management. The one thing I want to leave you with about our company, we are an asset-light company. As we continue to fill out the infrastructure projects that we have, that we're in the process of developing, as well as continue working with the existing customer base that we have, our plans right now are to partner. We have no intention of trying to bring all of the capabilities to fill out the ecosystem required for charging on our own. So, as I stand here right now, I've already talked to a few of you about potential opportunities. I'll be here for a few more minutes. Unfortunately, I've got to catch a car here at 4:30, so my time's a bit limited. But be happy to talk to you later if the opportunity arises. So thank you very much.